Michelle Goldman with MUX Week 1. My heuristics evaluation was between two shopping apps, AnyList and MyList. Since my target app, which I'm hoping to develop and is the focus of my project for this week, is a shopping app that's targeted toward gluten-free shoppers and being able to create a list-based app specific to their needs. And there are quite a few shopping apps out there, but none that have all those features that I'm looking at putting in my application. So for AnyList, I mean, they're both list-based. AnyList starts with just a blank slate, pretty much, and you have to go in and create a list. There's no preset categories or information in the database, so you would have to make the list, give it a name, no location or geographic basis for the stores that you'd be building the list from, which is one of the elements that I think would be helpful for users, so they can find something close to either where they live, work, or based off of their current location, so they can find something on the fly. But my list did actually have those preloaded stores in there, but with no geographic location capabilities. Not even an option to add information in manually for each store location. So that was a big detriment or fault that I found with those apps. So I guess that's a good thing I have going for me, for my application. So as far as visibility, AnyList, you add items to a list and the user, is prompted. There are visuals as far as succinct lines of text that will navigate the user to do certain functions and draw them in a certain direction, so that they can more easily create these lists and perform the basic functions of the app. The options that are available are listed as blue text items, as to indicate a link or some type of action. So that's nice. In the My List, they use more of icons that were right there on the main part of the app or on the list, as opposed to having them nested down inside of the item. So that, I think, would be more helpful for the user. As far as what the app provides and what the user would expect. AnyList does that to a point. There are options. Once you add an item to the list, what I thought was a little bit odd was that you've got a list of items, and on the right-hand side you have an information icon, which you would think would just be informational about that item. But in fact, that's where the makers of AnyList are putting all of the editing capabilities for that item, as far as being able to add it as a favorite, remove a favorite, delete it, add notes about it, and even get additional information about the app. So I thought that was kind of a strange place to put that. There was no edit feature right there on the main listing page. Under My List, they do use plus signs for adding, and have edit options right there, and ability to just tap the star to make it a favorite, or tap the trash can to delete the item. They've got drop down menus which make it easy for the user to navigate through, and they even have on some of the screens they have arrows directing the user visually to where they should be looking if it's not obvious, and with, again, short directions as to what they should be doing. User control, freedom. I would say both apps are pretty much use standard terminology, using the same type of icons and function names, done, cancel, edit. Those are pretty much the same throughout. I did notice in the My List that as opposed to the clock icon, which is now used for recent items, they're actually using the word history. So notice that little difference there. Error prevention. Both apps do a pretty good job of prompting the user to confirm before they make deletions of any type. My List, it does allow you to delete individual items from the list without confirming that you want to delete them. However, it will ask you to confirm if you were, say, resetting the entire app or clearing out the database of all lists that you've added. So that's good. Consistency, they are pretty much consistent throughout, so it's easy for the user to navigate, and makes for a good UI experience. And again, the only anomaly I found in the My List was the use of the word history as opposed to the clock icon. Recognition, that was pretty much the same across the board for both apps. Really not too much guesswork happening there. Flexibility, in any list, I did mention about the informational icon next to each item, which definitely throws the user off, but if you're not afraid to tap on things, I guess you'll eventually figure it out. My List, everything was very straightforward, obvious, right there. And I think the only thing that I found is when you go into the settings view, because on the left-hand side of the main screen there are two icons. There's lists and then there's settings. And when you're in the list view, it grays out settings and vice versa. But when you get into settings and get further down into the child views, there's no back. There's no other way to navigate out or back to a previous screen. The user would just have to know to tap on the grayed out list icon, and I think that could be a little more intuitive. They're both very minimalist in design. No frills, no fluff, nothing extra to distract the user from the task at hand, which is very helpful. And again, with the error messages, they are very short, succinct, clear, nothing nebulous or confusing about that whatsoever. Now, this was interesting. In the Any List, documentation was great. FAQ section with pictures, tutorials, not video tutorials, but images to keep the load off of the app. But that was great. In My List, there was nothing. No informational section, no documentation, no help. There was a contact link under settings that will pull up your email, but that's about it. Two other things that I added because I would like the app that I would use as a user of such an app to have geographic location capabilities, so I can find something that's close to wherever I'm at. And neither of those apps had that feature. And list flexibility, I think that you should be able to sort the apps either by aisle, by category, alphabetically. Because if I'm going into a store, aisles are either by types, floral, bakery, deli, which don't have numbers, and then everything else is numbered. So why not have that option of being able to shop by aisle number? Because that's how people typically go through the stores, methodically, aisle by aisle, or section by section, not just randomly by item name. So, but otherwise, I thought there was a pretty good match for the two apps side by side. Okay, so in my article that I found, summary brief, mobile loyalty orientations among Generation Y, conceptual model of the impact of mobile application attributes and user behavior. So this does identify with the user and applications and Developing applications that are targeted for the user and the user experience. And this actually was a study that was done, and I'll zoom in here so see a little bit better. So here we go, focus group participants, something that we talked about this week. Also user groups, probably the term that we used. And they were asked which mobile applications they would use for shopping. And what they want are things that are easy to navigate, ease of use, simplicity. And certainly I would think that would be across the board. And there we go, mobile app user behavior. Here we go. This is the model of what they found. Mobile app attributes, ease of use, frequency of mobile retail app use, which leads to brand loyalty. So all of those things are definitely tied together, and I think ease of use is right there at the forefront of that, which I think we've all learned that through the course of the program, and as users ourselves. If it's not easy to use, intuitive, simple, clean, then it's really not worth using.